So basically, when we are trying to take a photo, we'll see a frame, right? Like we'll first fix the frame and then we'll take a photo. So basically, adjusting that frame is what we call as composition, or we can call it as framing. There are a lot of terminologies for doing this. So basically, a lot of people will call it as composition. Like composition means a mix of stuff you are seeing. It could be like a mixed of anything could be a composition, but when you're framing, you might have mixed of thoughts or mixed of objects you are capturing. So that is also we call it as composition. So in simple way to understand, we can call it as framing. So though photography is according to individual perspective or perspective, for example, you want to take a random photo of random style. When it's photography is completely a freedom. It's completely, you have freedom to take anything, but there are certain rules. If you follow these certain rules, then photo will come little more decent. And second point is, whatever today I'm going to say is those rule, see, basically I will tell you to take in one mode or one style. So that kind of situation you may not get in real time. So you have to adjust some things, or you have to add some things, or you have to make sure you move your camera direction, or you move your place until and unless you get such kind of scenarios. So I'm going to talk about some scenarios, like in which scenario how to use your camera frame, like which frame you have to fix. For example, if you are seeing hill, how to take a photo. If you are having one person in a street, or if you are having a one person in a road, how to take, how if you are taking some flower photos, how to take. It's not like it how to take. If frame, if how the frame, if it is, then how beautifully, like how more beautifully, if for example, if you are taking a normal photo, if the same photo, if you are using this kind of rules, these certain rules, then obviously frames will become little more colorful. I'm not saying about vibrance and all, little more attractive, it speaks little more story than compared with the normal photos. So let's get into those slides. Till now, anyone just got any doubt like what is composition and all? Anyone out of your three? No doubts, right?
That's it.
Okay, okay. 1 second. Anyone? Okay. So basically, any photographer, if you are learning photography from anyone, this is a basic rule they will say. What we call it as rule of thirds. See, before again going for this all rules, there is, when you are taking your own wish, or when you want to take some random photo by your wish, don't follow any rule. But these rules will be helpful in order to take little more beautiful photos, and these rules been followed by a lot of photographers, and they have achieved some great results. And these rules were formed not only because of result, and it also been introduced because it's because of, for example, if these rules are being followed, when you're showing your photo to someone, their first impression will be on the topic what you want to show. For example, you want to show some person, for some person photo you want to take, but if there are a lot of crowd, but you are focusing only one person there, it may not speak. But if you follow this kind of rules, then what you want to show, you no need to again explain to those people. At least 70 to 80% a story will be conveyed. I'll Let's get into the topic first. So first one is rule of third. This is a common and important rule, a lot of photographers, and basic rule anyone will follow. So whenever you are trying to capture a landscape photo, right, this is a proper rectangle. For example, if an object is let me show you. If anything is in this format, we call it as portrait. If anything is in this kind of rectangle, then we call it as landscape. So when we are trying to take any landscape photo, consider LCD or viewfinder. Viewfinder is the object, viewfinder is the screen where we will see through the eyepiece. That is the viewfinder. Even though if it is viewfinder or if it is an LCD screen, for example, you are not getting these lines, still there will be an option to get these lines, but basically no need of having any lines on your screen or any lines on your viewfinder. You should be knowing, for example, this is a square, this is a proper rectangle, and I have, for example, not me, like you just split into three parts. See, these are three rows, right? And you make it horizontal two lines. So rule of thirds is actually a thing. You have to keep object on these intersections, either in this intersection or intersection in these 2 points or in these 2 points. Then practically what for people will say that if you show the, if you are showing this photo to anyone, first than seeing these objects or first we are going to see these people or this lady here. So that we call it as rule of third. Even though if you forgot about this intersection, you should make sure that they should be in the 1/3 area of the whole screen, either in the left portion or in the right portion. Anyone having any doubt in this rule of third? Okay, then I'm going to talk about the next one, which is center composition. Okay, no. Okay, so basically when till now I just said left side you should keep or right side you should keep, and here person is in center. So basically there is a difference between that and this. Here if you can see, mostly we are only talking about landscape photography. So landscape photography, we are talking about this kind of rectangle and we are not talking about this rectangle. But center composition will actually will work even in landscape, even in portrait. See, this is a portrait kind of rectangle, and this is actually a horizontal kind of rectangle. Basically, when you have a path, and you also have a person in between, or person or building or any object you want to show, and if it is having a path, see here there is a road here, and here a road is there, and here also person is sitting in center, and here also person is walking in the center. It could be a building also, could be here. So basically when a road or here I told you building. For example, in easy way to understand this kind of photography, you will mostly see in Taj Mahal. So if Taj Mahal is here, most of the people will try to take a landscape with center composition. So that will be in center, and a path will be there, like from very much far away to that till that Taj Mahal, a path will be there. So when a path is there and an obstacle, whether it is in a building or it could be a person, if it is there, then center composition will be very good. So that is where we'll use center compositions, path and object. Any doubt in the center composition? Anyone? Fine, right?
Yeah, Chaitanya.
Okay, let's go into leading. One second, someone has come. Okay, sorry. So let's go for the next rule, which is leading lines. So basically, what is this leading lines? So here also there is a road. Here also there is road, and person is standing, and here also person is standing. But basically here, if you can see, here an object is not there, here object is not there, here object is there. But basically what is leading lines? So basically when if you take this road, this could be, you see here you may not see proper line here, this is a curved area and you don't know where it is. I mean here only you are feeling like it is going to end, and here also you are feeling like here it's going to end. But when you take these two, both are looking like infinity ends. Path doesn't have any what do you say, there is no end, you cannot see the end here. See here, here also it's almost looking like it's going to the sky. Here also you don't know where it is going to end. It doesn't means leading lines only work with a vertical. I mean it's here, it's both. I have given you examples with a straight leading lines. So basically see, one second, let's move. Um, so if anything is like this, see, I have just drawn two lines, right? It could be a straight line. I mean, it could be a intersection line, or it could be a curved. For example, you are in a proper turning. I mean, in a hill station. You are in a proper viewpoint basically how it will be, it will be like from top you are coming and again one curve will come, that curve only will be a viewpoint. So basically viewpoints are also leading lines if you are taking photo from one side of angle. For example, they will be in a curved. So when curved kind of photo you are taking, you have to make sure that a person or a car is there on the road. If or if you are going to see, I mean if you are seeing roads like this, even if person is here or not, you just imagine if person is not here also, this is a beautiful pic, this is a beautiful pic which will come like this. So basically when I'm saying all these things, see here person is required, here person is required, center composition also, an object is required, here also I mean person or object is required. But when it comes to leading lines, you don't need a person. For example, you went alone to a place and literally you don't have any friend to pose. So randomly you can go, you can just see a place where it could be a highway, it could be a road next to your house also. You just go for a point in your road itself and see where you can feel that a road is like an infinity, it's going like very far. An empty road, best results will come with empty roads. But when it is a curved road, you should maintain an object, either a person or it could be a small tree, or it could be a car or something. So basically leading lines, you see this kind of leading lines you may not be there every time. See for example, left side books are there, right side books are there, and a person is sitting and selling kind of newspapers. For example, early in the morning you may be seeing like this, lot of newspapers left and right will be there, and somewhere in middle a person will be sitting and he will be arranging like English papers into left side and Kannada papers into right side. So when that kind of scenes are there, or when you're going alone in a valley, or if you went to a hill station and all of your friends are sleeping and you just want to go and take some random photos in fog, so obviously road will be full empty and trees will be there. So you have to go literally to the center of the road and you should take the photo. So basically in order to take this kind of photos, you have to go to the center of the road and you should to take, then only left and right will come exactly like in proper ratio, and it will come as if like both are meeting at a infinity point. So photo will come more interesting than taking the photo either by standing in the left side or right side. Obviously you cannot take this kind of photograph in a busy road, but when you are going to any hill station, or when you are going to any place in the early in the morning where traffic is not there, obviously you can take this kind of photo. And if you keep proper heavy fps, and if you are if fps is more than 6 See, basically, what is FPS? When you are buying a camera, they are going to sell by saying 4 FPS. Earlier in that class, how I told you, uh, 24, I mean, AF points. AF points are the points to easily choose focus. I mean, if you want to focus any object in any of the screen, or I mean, any of the area, AF points will be useful, I said, right? So basically, when anyone is selling a camera, they will talk about AF points and FPS. So basically, what we when your people, if you are using any camera, video camera, a lot of people will say FPS means frames per second. So basically, here also frames per second only, but in video, frames per second is it's about it's a kind of technology how many frames it is going to capture. So basically, lens is not a flickering thing. It will not capture like clapping. It's a different kind of technology. But here in DSLRs, it's a kind of clapping. So here FPS is actually a FPS. It's like frame per second. Like for example, if a camera do have a 9 fps option, it literally means around for 1 second it can really take 9 photos. In 1 second, a camera can take 9 photos. They'll say 9 photos, but seriously 6 or 7 photos pakka will come. So if you are having good FPS camera and there is an option called one shot or timer or heavy H shutter, H sequence. So we will call it as sequence shots. So if camera is in that, 1 second. So if camera is in that sequence mode, and if you are trying to take photos in that mode, so basically when it is in heavy FPS, you can even go to a little bit moderate traffic road and you can just go to center of the road, and if you click, automatically it will come. Like no need of thinking that array yaar vehicles will come and something may happen. No, if camera is having good FPS, just you will walk, while walking itself you will just click and you are going to another end. So that much fastly you can take photo if you are having good FPS cameras. Basically now above 30,000 cameras are having good FPS when it compared with Canon cameras which are below 30,000 rupee. So let's talk about foreground interest. Okay, anyone are having any doubt in leading lines? Okay, then I'm going to move for foreground interest. So what is this foreground interest? So basically, for example, you went for a hilltop, or you went for Nandi. I mean, for example, you went to Nandi Hills and you are trying to capture fog area, or else you are in a beach and far away, right side or left side, you can see some hills. So you want to capture water and also you want to capture hills, or some for example, you are in a near to pond and some beautiful outside, I mean next to that forest. For example, you are in this Madiwala Lake only. Madiwala Lake, that side full of forest will be there, center water will be there, and again our side also forest kind of, I mean gardens will be there. So basically when people go with DSLR, they'll just directly go and shoot water or water along with background that forest. So basically it doesn't you're only taking the normal photos here. So in order to give little more interest, like if you want people to see like wow, like you have done something great, then you have to simply include something else before your scene. For example, you want to take a photo from water to hill. I mean water almost like for example, it is starting from your 5 feet or 6 feet. So try to ask some person to stand there. You ask one person to stand there, or if any plant or root, anything rock is there, try taking photo from that area. For example, here if you can see, here though he want to take this photo, he included this. Here also, if you can see, here actually aperture is too low. That is because here this would be you're feeling that here it is blurred. But here, if you see, here aperture is too high. Like for example, here it is f11 or something. So here you can background is also highlighted, which you want to take. Here front foreground also got highlighted. So here what, when both is included, it frame came like more nice, like more good it is. When you people who want to literally utilize photography for their Instagram, or if they want to have a nice website where they want to upload their photos and all tomorrow, this foreground interest rule for sure you have to follow. Why? Because it gives more detailing. For example, if you see like this, you may only feel that okay, good water or something. So if you see boat, people may think like, "Arey yaar, boat is there." Okay, so how? So they'll just think about some stories behind boat. Here also, if rocks are there, some people will just think about, "Arey yaar, how it will be if I stand on these rocks." So some stories they build by their own, because of giving additional things for your for example, nothing is there. For example, nothing is there, rock is not there, boat is not there, or anything is not there. So just ask some person to stand there, take photo along with person. Or for example, you have a bag there, or you have some your you have a car there, you keep a car, and along with car you take the photo. If you have bike, keep that bike and take the photo. And if you have a backpack and bottle and some of your accessories, water bottle, something you keep, and along with that nature you take this photo, beautiful it will come. So that is how foreground interest will work. uh, so let's talk about focal length. So basically, what is this focal length? Focal length doesn't mean, I mean, actually focal length is nothing but it's mm. So for example, you went with your family, or you went with your friends to a place, and someone is asking you to take a photo, and some nice background is there. Uh, for example, a hill or some good statues there, or else like you might have, for example, you went for Coimbatore, this place where that Shiva idol is there. So you went there, and some of your friend asked to take a nice photo. He or she, they don't care about how picture we want to, I mean, picture will come, but they just want some good photo. So basically, this rule will be useful for the people who are having multiple lens, or multiple, what do you say? Not like multiple, not only a multiple lens, or people who are having zoom lens. Basically, not only zoom lens. See, zoom lens I doesn't mean that it is only 55 to 200 mm. It is 18 to 55 also, there is zoom, right? So when you are changing 18 to 55, there you are changing mm. So you are changing that zoom. So basically, which mm to be used, that you have to make sure. See, basically, in this, in order to understand in a very simple way, for example, you went for a, I mean, you went to the same place what I told you, and you don't know which mm to be used. So practically, in a very quick basis, take a 18 to 55, a small mm lens. Small mm lens. The lens which will come with basic camera, which is 18 to 55 mm, or 18 to 100 mm or something. Try taking a 3 by 4th photo. 3 by 4th photo by standing. I mean, you should stand little far away from the person and try to capture a 3 by 4th mm by keeping some around 18, right? So just almost keep till 55 mm and try clicking the picture by stand. I mean, you should be little far away and you should click the picture. So basically, here this kind of photo will come. So object also will come. I mean, the background scenery also will come, and 3 by 4th person will come. So this is one kind of photo. And second thing is, you are unsure about what your friend know. I mean, what your friend literally wants. So you should every time you should go with the least Like for example, you are having your lens is starting with 18 mm. Just turn your camera just turn your camera to a portrait mode. If for example every time you are holding horizontally, right, camera you are holding in horizontally, right, just turn it to portrait, I mean just rotate the camera and try with take the photo with maximum and I mean maximum means 18, least only you have to take and take a photo, then photo will come like this, like everything will come. And third one is uh, it's a zoom photo where almost like backside picture will not come. People will, I mean others, they'll understand that something is there behind, but basically they will not understand what is it properly. But here person will come very beautifully, like background nice blur will come. See, in order to get proper blur, if you just stand literally 10-15 feet away, and if you are using any lens, and if object is little far away, then any lens good depth will come with f4. Any lens mostly will start with f3.5 or f4. Basically these two lenses will give good lens, I mean good depth, even though, I mean, see, people will think that only f1.8 or f2.8 only will give great depth, but this also will give depth if your photographer is standing little far away, and object is, I mean, literally backside background also, if it is far away, then nice depth will come even in f4. So after doing these three, what you will do? See, this can be this process can be also explained with different lenses. So as you may not have lot of I mean lot of lenses, I'm just saying about with single lenses, single lens with 18 to 55 or 55 to 200. So after taking these three pictures, then you have I mean, see, pro photographer obviously they have to decide by themselves. Like they will just keep three photos, and even pro photographers, what they will do is they'll just take these three kind of photos and they'll close it off. If for example if it is a family, or if it is a friend, then obviously you can show to them like which kind of photo you liked. Obviously if he or she like one kind, that kind of photos you may from then onwards you can just try clicking with different poses. See how she is just turning one side, and here is one kind of pose, and here one kind of pose. So basically once after fixing the angle, or fixing the proper then you can click. It's also about close, distance and mid. So here if it is, see, it's like close and mid, little like it will come like both, and this is also little mid, and it's like completely like distance. So this is what focal length rule. And coming to the small aperture, I mean sorry, smart aperture. So smart aperture and focal length is basically, it's not about a proper rule. It's because it's about your personal interest. You should be happy when you are trying to click the picture. Basically, previous three things: foreground, leading lines, center composition, rule of third. It is to make others happy. For example, if you take photo, obviously if you display to anyone, they'll say like, "Arey yaar, this photo is like amazing. This photo is very good." Why? Because these placements are like that. If you place things in this kind of rules, either in rule of third, foreground interest, I mean center composition. So basically, when you are doing that, obviously picture will come little more beautiful. But when it comes to focal length or smart aperture, these two are basically about your personal choice. How you want to show, how you want to how comfortable you feel when you are taking a picture, or when after taking the picture are you happy or not. So in order to judge your own interest or own likelihood or something, then you should try these two things. Focal length is about different mms, I mean zoom shot or far away shot or mid shot, this kind of thing for focal length. And when it comes to smart aperture, it's also same similar to that. So here they might have used f11 or something, here they might have here they might have used f8, here they might have used f4, and here they might have used f2.8. so what's the difference here? Here if you can see the backside what is there, you can see here. If you can see little, you can little predict what is happening, little something maybe like okay, some forest would be there, something like that you would be guessing here. But here no way, nowhere, you never know behind there is a rock or a forest. Here you can see that there is a tree here. Here you cannot judge, you can pakka you may, if you ask 10 people, 3-4 people may think say that it would be a rock. So it's about perspective here. For example, some people want to take see here, this is the example here. If you want to take foreground interest pictures, but by keeping a person in center, then obviously person, I mean in not in center either in three, I mean that 1/3 rule. If you are keeping in this kind of portion and if you are trying to click the picture, it's your choice, it's your interest, if you want to show the background or if you don't want to show the background. But basically when you went to see I know that aperture, I mean people do like nice depth photos, but when you went for a place, uh, old style of cameras, one second. When you go for a place, basically everyone want to show to their, I mean when you just see after 10-15 years, and if you want to show that photos to someone, and if you want to, if you show that heavy aperture, I mean this kind of depth photo, what's the use? Like they don't see what is behind or what is I mean what is the background there. So if you say like are yaar, you know, like behind me Taj Mahal is there, but Taj Mahal will be full of blood, like what's the use of showing that heavy aperture photo? So when you're going for some places, literally you have to take photos like this, though person may not be highlighted, but that photo is not only you guys are not just taking photo for a person. If you want to take a person photo, you can take anywhere, but if you want to take person along with Taj Mahal, you have to highlight Taj Mahal also, you cannot simply blur it off. So that is that, but it's all again about your own personal choice. If you literally want to hide behind stuff, and if you feel that no yeah, like if I'm keeping that blur, a person is coming highlighted, okay, take that photo, but it's your personal choice again. So our last one is actually landscape. So right now is this is also like almost like what we call sorry, center composition. So not only center composition, it's also foreground interest, like both combined stuff. When you are taking a landscape photo, for example, you went to a hilltop. This is being done by, I mean this editing was done by me only. See, this is a landscape photo, and this is also a landscape photo. But basically, when a person is here, it was explaining something else. Like it is also speaking something great. Like if you see the same photo, it felt like normal, like nothing is there. Okay, what is there? Okay, rock. But if a person is standing here, are you may feel like are like person is standing there, like what will happen if he just move there? Are like okay, you went literally to that high. Like people will ask you question like that. So because of him, literally it feels like more height compared with this. Though both are feeling like more height, but if a person is standing there, it feels like literally you are in too height. So when you are trying to take a photo of a landscape, keep an object. This actually I mean to say, just keep an object, either it would be a, see, for example, think a cycle here. Even cycle would have given a nice impact. It just think your car there, or bike there, or just think about your dog there. It's surely a nice picture will come. Same thing if you take here it's a simple image, but if you take this example, I'll just zoom it, or I'll present it. So basically, if you can see here, this frame is like somehow like it is saying something like some adventure kind of thing. Here, if you can see, it's like only landscape. But here, if you see, it is also saying some story. Like he went like see, photography is not only about taking photo. It also should speak. When pictures are speaking, then obviously nice applaud will come from a lot of people. I don't only say that you should only take photograph to get applaud, but obviously when people applaud for your photograph, you will be happy. You will, no photographer will not be like if someone is applauding to your photo, or if someone is saying like your photo is very good, then no one will feel bad. They'll feel happy. If you are doing this, if you are following this all set of rules, then obviously pictures will come more better. Like if you are taking a photo to 50%, it will go to 75% or 80% if you follow all these rules. So basically this is all about rules. One second. So after these are all about rules. Anyone is having any doubt? I'm going to raw and jpg topic. This will complete in 5-10 minutes, so I'm going to close even this topic today. Anyone is having any doubt regarding this rules, photography rules? Anyone? Anyone? Because again, I'm going to talk about another topic again. Are you listening to me? Anyone?
Yeah, Chaitanya.
Yeah, okay. Okay. No, so hope, I guess no one is having any doubt. So basically, raw and jpg. So everyone knows, see, basically people who are already handling camera, they already know what, I mean, they may not be knowing what is raw, but they might have heard what is raw. I mean, it is an option in camera where people are also, I mean, taking photos in that. So basically, a lot of people know what is JPG. See, people who don't know, I'm saying. So JPG is a format. For example, if you are doing a video, you will ask, right, Arya, I want in MP4 format, I want in WMV format, some format like that you'll see, right? So like that in image also formats are there. PNG, JPG, TIFF, TIFF. So lot of formats are there. In that, RAW is also one. So basically, what is RAW and what is JPEG? In simple way to understand, JPEG is already a processed image. For example, you took a photo. You took a photo with a hardware. You took a photo with the hardware. Your camera is an hardware item. Inside there is an electronic software which will convert that hardware item to a image, right? So hardware is converting to a image. So basically every camera or every phone is having an software which will do image processing. So an image an image or an format which has come after image processing is JPG. So JPG is actually, for example, you kept a lot of modes, lot of options you kept, and you took a photo. So basically, RAW and JPG, in every mode, anything, I mean, in any mode it will work. RAW is not, don't think like raw means some separate mode. Just one option will be there. it will say like, do you want to save file in JPG format or raw format or JPG plus raw format? So these 3 or 4 formats will be there. So if you click only JPG, then output will come as normal JPG images. If you click only raw, then photos will come in raw, which is .cdr. Like if it is JPG, we call it as .jpeg. If it is raw, we call it as .cdr. If you keep CDR, I mean if you keep raw plus JPG, whenever you are taking photo, it will be saved in 2 files. One is JPG and one is CDR. So basically, so what is raw here? So in simple way to understand, I'll just show you this example. So leave this two. If you take this top two, here they are saying original JPG and here they are saying original raw. So if you can see, there is no difference. There is literally no difference. But here if you see edited JPG and here they are saying edited raw. Wait. So actually compared with here blue is little more. Here if you can see than green, here it is more green. Here if you can left side if you can see, here shadows are there. I mean light shadows are there, and here it is almost there is no shadow. But original photo if you see, actually you took a fully shadow photo. Here if you can see, it's literally dark. Here also if you see, literally dark. But here if you see after editing, there is no dark only. Here if you see, little dark is there. How they have removed, I will tell you when I'm going to talk about editing class. But basically in easy way to understand this concept, when you are taking a photo in JPG format, it already added lot of filters. It already kept a lot of things, and it, for example, you just consider it is like a chapati. Like floor it. When you are clicking the picture, here what is happening is automatically floor it is adding salt, water, oil, everything is adding, and it is giving you this kind of photo. So when you kept a frame and if you are taking a photo, so already chapati, like I mean a formed format it already came. But so if someone is adding some, I mean adding, or see if it is already made, what will happen? You cannot completely change that chapati. Maybe little salt, something increase or decrease, maybe you can do, but you cannot literally change that chapati which is already made. But this raw, it is like if you take a photo, it will be saved in such a format that it looks like chapati, but dove will be separate layer, salt will be separate layer, everything will be like separate. That is one reason JPG, for example, if it is saving as 4 MB file, raw will save as 10 MB file. Why? Because it will be saved as that many individual particles or individual portions. So what will happen when it is saving as individual portion? For example, when it is saving, when you are taking a picture, it will think that shadow is one layer, like one ingredient in chapati. So shadow it will keep in one layer. So brightness it will keep in one layer. So background, one image, I mean the main layer what you want to take picture, that it will take as one layer, and vibrance, colors it will save as one layer. But everything it will come in one file only, like everything you available only in one file only, like one .cdr file. But when you are trying to edit one JPG and when you are trying to edit raw photo, JPG you may not reach proper, like once if you try to remove shadows in JPG, noise will come, like dots and all you can see. But when it comes to raw, you can literally achieve more, like better, like if it is see here, he have achieved almost like literally there is no shadow here. It is looking like a normal photo when you compare these two. like greens he can add, anything can be added, but people only should do so basically when I kept what are the topics what I'm going to discuss in this whole photography classes, I said one line there, like why beginners should not use raw. Why? Because basically when if you are a beginner photographer and if you don't have Photoshop or any proper editing software, you should never use CDR. I mean, you should never use raw photos. Why? Because normal basic phones or basic laptops, basic any image opening platforms, it could be a TV, they cannot open raw files. Why? Because as I told you, raw is a combination of a different things or different compositions. So that will be a headache. And second thing is a lot of basically if you are a beginner photographer, hardly what kind of memory card you will buy, 4 GB, 8 GB, 8 GB you will buy. Like see basically it's not an 8 GB micro SD card, it's a bigger SD card you have to buy for cameras. So bigger SD cards are costly compared with mobile SD cards. So I will take a class which card you should buy. That is one interesting and important topic. People whenever they are going to buy a memory card for their phone or to a camera, they will go and see for a less price. And I will tell you why you should not go for less price, less priced SD cards, and what are the classes and what to see. So basically, if you are having 16 GB or 16 GB also you can consider in this. You consider you are going for a 5 days trip, and you are having a 16 GB memory card. Actually, 16 GB is very good to take good number of photos. But if your camera is in having a format like JPG plus CDR or only RAW, I mean CDR means RAW, if you are taking photos like that, see basically whenever you are taking photo in CDR format, your camera in LCD it will show. Don't think that okay in camera it is showing red, then it also will show in laptop. No, it will not show until and unless you are having a proper editor. You cannot see CDR formats. It's a big headache. It's a big headache to convert raw photo to JPG format until and unless you are having a proper software. It will be a seriously headache thing. So one reason is after 2 3 days you will be filled with your SD card and you don't know which photo to delete, and one day night you will sit at some one place and you keep on deleting photos, or you don't know what to do and you will take your phone and you will start clicking photos. So you will feel bad when you are beginner. See basically why beginner and pro I'm differentiating, because professionals they'll just take random five or four photos and they'll close the camera and they'll go off. Or if they're until and unless they're going for any wildlife photography, they'll not go for random heavy number of shots, or they'll also will try to take photo. You also tomorrow have to become a pro photographer, or if you want, if you wish to become a pro photographer, this kind of rules you also have to follow so that you will get some professionalism. As I told you in that WhatsApp this thing also, if whenever you are trying to share any one photo, do not share a photo just like a forward, or just don't upload. Try to upload only in the doc format. When you click on attachment, the doc option will come. If you click there, it will ask which photo to send. Then it will send that original photo, the photo how, even for example 5 MB for image. If you are copying to your phone, 5 MB photo only will be sent. If you are sending if you are sending or if you are uploading in normal one, then only 200 KB or 100 KB photo only they can see. They cannot see the original or the nice look what you have really shot. So basically raw and JPG is that. So beginners should never go for raw until unless they feel that are yaar, this for example you went for Kanyakumari and you don't know what I mean, you took a photo but you don't know what kind of exposure and all you want to keep, and you literally want to play with that in your computer, and you also have a Photoshop or an editing software. So that kind of situation only you have to go for raw. But if you don't want to sit more into editing, and if you want to get everything best out of your photo, you should keep a proper frame and you should take everything with your own JPG format. So that is all about today's class. So that is all about what do you say, JPG and RAW, and certain rules of taking photographs. So anyone is having any doubt? So today is the last class for this week, and again next class will be on Monday. So anyone is having any doubt?
Not Chetan. Like once we start, then we'll make it doubts.
Sorry. So what's something like?
Like once we start, then we may get doubts. Then we'll just ping you in that group actually.
Sure. So basically, you people who belong to offline, I mean online also, you guys trying this kind of photos. So as Sandeep said, you guys also will get doubt when you try clicking pictures, or for example, if a road is there and I mean when you are trying to keep person in the 1/3 of position, but for example in the same frame others are also walking, what to do? So that kind of lot of questions will arise when you are trying to click pictures when you are doing in 1/3, or when you're doing a 1/3 I mean center focused. Also a lot of queries will come obviously when you are trying to do experiments with these rules. But as I told you I'm telling you, these all rules are only to just to little beautify the way of presenting. I mean it's kind of a presenting skills. So if you learn this, obviously little more attractive picture you can take, or else also you can take a beautiful picture of but just like norms you can take it as. So that's all for today's class. So thank you all for coming and listening to the class.
Yeah, thanks, Chetan.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good
bye.
night.
Happy weekend.
Yeah, same to you, same to you.
Happy weekend to you and everyone.
Yeah, everyone happy.
Thank you.